How can you get there in the remaining years of what you'd like to do? Well, did you think about what that list would even look like? In your mind, if you had to make a list of what you'd like to accomplish, I want you to do that all by yourself right there in your mind. We'll pause for a few minutes. Your list should not be based on anything that your boss or your mission expects of you. Because I asked you what you think God wants you to do with your ministry. Think about that. Spend a few minutes just thinking about it, whether you're a writer or if you're an auditory learner, whatever case, either case works. Take a few minutes and just jot down some things, either on paper or in your brain, what you'd like to see happen in your remaining years of ministry, whether it's one thing, two things, three things. I got one of these left. Here you go. Oh, you good? Okay, we got a couple extra if we need them. I don't think we will. As you make that list, second, it asks you how you're going to get there and whose help. All of us would admit we're on somebody's shoulders, right? Somebody helped every one of us get to where we are. Dale Carnegie teaches a famous course called You Are Who You Are Because Where You Were When. Somebody helped you get where you are. Told you about somebody who told you about a job, who told you about a relationship, who told you about this, and boom, you're where you are. How can you get there and with whose help? Now, before you think about using, I don't want you to think using someone to get you, because oftentimes relationships are give and take. You're helping somebody get where they need to be with the Lord, and they're helping you. It's a give and take. One of the courses I teach our residents is Relationships 101. When there's a toxic one, you have to step away, and difficulty is when the toxic relationship is bloodline, because you can't pick your family, you can only pick your friends. And so how do you do it when you have a toxic relationship with family and you have to walk away? Hard. But in this case, you're looking at someone that you can share with, they share with you, they're helping you get where you think God wants you, you're helping them move on. It's that friendship that keeps going. And then lastly, how can that testimony help others? That's really a legacy. That's your legacy. You helping someone else get where they might be able to get is a fabulous thing to do. Fabulous. It's what we dream of for our children, and when they grow up and let us do it, it feels great. And sometimes they don't let us do it, and God brings other people into our lives, and we help them get where they need to be. But if you're a CEO in here or an executive director of your shelter or high enough ranking, you have a team of people underneath you, you should be thinking how to build people into these preferential areas of growth. That's why I'm thrilled to tell you that more than a third of our staff members graduated from Homeless No More, the program I'm going to share with you. And 2 of them are over $50,000 a year running entire departments, so it's not as though they're hired in at minimum wage, because we don't start anybody lower than $12 an hour. But of our 72 employees, like 31 of them right now, 31 are on staff. And that matters to me. We have a wall of those plaques you saw in the video. I think there's 720 names on it in the 20 years I've been there. But yeah, that matters to us. So how can that testimony help somebody else? That's your legacy. Galatians 2:20, I've been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life that I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. A life verse. A life verse. It does take your whole life to even understand that. It's a great goal. It's great. We throw phrases around like, that's my favorite life verse. Right, when I see it really, really well through your life, I'll agree. But it's hard. It's hard because you have to look at you in the morning every day. I tell the residents at Dallas Life, if you knew me like I know me, you would never want to know me. But because I'm the executive director, they just think, oh, wow, he writes my checks or this or that, or he encourages me. They just think I'm always up, Always up, always up. Well, to live like you're crucified takes work. Takes work. Takes work. Goes on. I'm going to share with you the Homeless No More program because the prerequisites we just went through, you need to know those about me because that was the goal. The goal in writing Homeless No More, it did not take rocket science. I just saw a need and tried to meet a need. I looked and I saw people that were drunk and high so much of the time. Then I looked in our local churches and I saw people that weren't growing. It was interesting. All the years I was a senior pastor, I found people on my church board say things like, let's go down to the shelter and serve on Thanksgiving Day. It never got out of committee. We never did it. Let's have coat drives. Well, that was a one and done. That was pretty easy to do. Let's do this. Let's do that. They had ideas that didn't materialize. Then I went into the prison system to become the head chaplain for the state of Pennsylvania's maximum security prison system. They called me CHEP. And they said, CHEP, I wanted to go back to society as a contributing member. And when I would ask them questions, I would find out they had no idea how to do it. And I thought, this is weird. And I said to my wife, do you notice something that the Lord's doing? All those years in the pastorate, I had godly people that wanted to do something to change other people's lives, and they didn't know how to do it. Then I go into the prison, I see all these people who want their lives changed, and they don't know how to do it. What if I could connect them? So I thought, what if I could write a program based on accountability and expectation, using that would take a caring, godly person, not somebody who just wants to give out sandwiches out their car window on a Sunday but get home in time to watch golf. Not that. But really take a caring, committed person and plug them into a life of a person who's indigent and doesn't want to stay that way. Not somebody holding a sign on the side of the road. Will work, please help, God bless. No, that's your life. I can't help you out of that life. I'm looking at somebody who doesn't want to stay indigent. So I tell the homeless people at Dallas Life, I picture all of you like in a parenthesis of your life. You're homeless temporarily. Let's fix the reason why you're homeless, and you'll never be homeless again. But why do you think you have the right to benefit from free services for the rest of your life when your homelessness is only temporary? Don't get in wrong thinking. And so that's where the program came from. After lots and lots of research, I realized that most people come into our shelters and they leave, even though they say they want to grow. A great percentage of them do not. So what we do in Homeless No More, this is the program right here. There's 26 courses I've written for them. Shelters that get the program get 2 of these. One is the teacher edition. One is the student edition. The student edition has a lot of blanks they have to fill in. The teacher's edition has all the answers in it. So this is what we do. Realizing, and I had seen many shelters have pre-program or first this, or 60 days you can't do this, or 90 days you can't do this. What we have is 4 phases. Phase 1 is 1 month. Phase 2 is 2 more months. Phase 3 is 3 more months. Phase 4 is the last 4. So picture the bowling pins. That's our program. 1 month, then 2 months, then 3 more, then 4 more. The first month is phase 1. And in that month, you won't get passes to leave. You'll work 8 hours a day in food service or security or laundry. And we funneled this through the Department of Labor. It's perfectly legal and fine to do because they're benefiting more than we are. Right now, if you're familiar, there is a major case, Salvation Army in Illinois. You familiar with that? There's a case in Illinois right now. 3 people in the case in the state of Illinois that were asked to work for Salvation Army's thrift stores. In Dallas, I don't know about your city. In Dallas, if you go to Salvation Army, the second day you're there, you are put into their thrift stores or on the truck. You are given $6 a week for pay. Second week, you get $7. Third week, you get $8. Up to $14 an hour is the highest you'll be paid in Dallas while in the program. You'll gather clothing. It will be sold in their stores. Well, in Illinois, 3 people in that program communicated with a lawyer, and the lawyer said, you have a unique case. That case is this. You are asked to work in a thrift store. That's a business that is competing with other thrift stores. Therefore, you do have a right to say, I'm an employee, I'm not a resident in a program, which makes Salvation Army different than almost all of our shelters. As a result, there is a lawsuit. Last Tuesday was the deadline for the Salvation Army to come back with their rebuttal, and they did, and this was their rebuttal. This was covered 20 years ago when the similar case came up in California, and we won that case, so most likely that's going to get thrown out. It's getting a lot of airtime, but it'll probably get thrown out. Our attorney said to us, Bob, you're entirely different than that. In your shelter, they're asked to work in the kitchen. Part of what they do is make food that they eat. It's helping them. They're asked to work in security to keep it safe. Part of what it's safe for is to keep them safe. The laundry is for their bedding. The floor cleaned and the toilets mopped and all that is for their use. So our shelters are perfectly allowed to do that. He thinks we don't even fall under the FSLA requirements that would doubt our ability to do that. So if you ask people to work as part of your program, do not panic just because the Salvation Army is not going to come down the pike and most likely threaten any of us. So we do realize that half the people in our Homeless No More program are going to leave, so this is what we do. First 30 days, I'm expecting you to leave. Right now, studies show that 68% of people coming into our shelters are drunk or high or off a psychotropic for mental health. About 68%. One of those three, maybe two of those issues, but at least one of them. So I'm assuming that someone's not going to stay. I'm also assuming that they have drugs in their system, so I'm not going to spend $3 on a urine test to tell me something I already know the answer to. Why am I going to spend that money? So, but after 30 days, the drug should be out of their system enough that should not come up positive. So for the first 30 days, they wear a yellow bed ticket. It is enlarged font. We could see across the hall their given name. When I was in the prison system, I went to a one-day in-staff training, and they taught us about separation due to culture. I loved it. It was the greatest in-service I ever went to. Did you know that we Caucasians like 36 inches between us when we talk, and we're perfectly comfortable with that. But if we start to infringe, the other person will back up, or at least they'll move their head back as if to say, you're in my space. African Americans are perfectly comfortable with a 24-inch span between them, and Hispanics are okay with 12 to 18 inches. And they told us this in the jail because they said if two Hispanic inmates are talking and they're almost face-to-face, they're not going to jump you, they're just talking. And it was so beneficial. Taught us so much. Then I read that the greatest complaints about homeless shelters is the darkness of color and the smell. The darkness of color and smell. So when I got to Dallas Light, the walls were dark gray and it stunk. And so we painted everything light and made everything smell better, and everybody relaxed. So I made the font bigger on their bed tickets, so from across the hall I could tell your name, and I didn't have to infringe on your space. You would think it was rocket science. It wasn't rocket science. We got all kind of accolades for doing that. And my staff had to call people by their given name, because homeless are only used to hearing, "Hey, you," and "Get out of there." They're the only things they're used to hearing before they come to us. If we're going to love them with Christ, they have to have a little bit more respect than that. So for the first 30 days, no passes to leave. You can leave the building, but not the property, because you already know where the dope man is. He already knows what you owe. I don't need somebody calling, "Come on, I need diapers for the baby. Why are you trying to recover? I need money." Stop. You're going to stay put. You're not going to go visit anybody. You don't get any visitors coming in. You don't get any passes to leave. We do not take your cell phones away. We do not take your food stamps. Some shelters do. I think that's a little ridiculous. And we do not, this may step on some toes, I told you I don't care. I don't think it's correct to make anybody go to church before you feed them. I don't. Jesus met a need where a need was, and then he told you what your greatest need was. I got there and they said, well, we go to church and then we eat. I said, why? I just want to make sure this makes sense to me. Well, that's how it works for our volunteers. Nonsense. We're not here for the volunteers. Homeless people are our number one customer. So we feed people. I don't want you to think I'm holding fried chicken over your head if you don't walk the aisle at church. So we feed, and then you know what? Everybody's relaxed and they want to be in church. Nobody says, I don't want to go to church, because they're not hungry anymore. Meet their need, and then tell them what their greatest need is. So we revamp things for that. I encourage you to just think that through. So that's phase 1. Then phase 2. Phase 2, your bed ticket changes to blue. Now you're not working 8 hours a day, because now you're in these classes. Everything changes in phase 2. You get passes to leave. You get up to 8 hours a week. You can be gone, but you can't miss a class. But you can be gone times when you're not expected to be in class. Now, I do have a couple of blessings that many shelters don't have. I have 24 master's level counselors from Dallas Seminary I get for free, because they have to do between 400 and 700 hours to get their master's degree, and I have a counseling center that we made, so I get it for nothing. I only have 3 counselors I pay. Dr. Freeman is the only full-time counselor person I have, and we had 900 counselee sessions last year. His dissertation is on working with homeless, interacted with professional counseling as it points toward true and lasting spiritual recovery. So yes, I realize that blessing, but there are places in your cities you might be able to go to get some counselors that could come in. And so counseling is offered to you. You must go to a group counsel session in phase 1, where you're introduced in a very relaxed format to the counselors and what it is that they offer. After that, if you do sign up for counseling, and we encourage everybody to, you get the counselor of your choice, whether you want a male or a female. You meet with that counselor at least 4 weeks in a row, and then if you think it's just not a symbiotic relationship and you'd like someone else, you can request that, and they will change it. But your counselee and counselor, you'll meet every single week, ongoing. So in phase 2, what we do is, every day we have our morning devotions at 8, and then at 8:30, that's done. 8:30 it's done, because I don't want them to feel like they have to go to church 72 times a week and I go twice, so we don't do that in our shelter. You have devotions Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning. You have church on Tuesday and Thursday nights, and you have church on Sunday and Sunday nights. That is all, and even at that, I think it is a lot. It is a lot more than any of us go to church. I don't know the average Christian going to church 9 times a week. Granted, the folks coming to us for help need a lot of Scripture in a short amount of time, which is why I understand and I do still embrace what we do, but we do a devotional in the morning, and when we get that person who loves to preach to a giant group, I have to reel them in and say, no, that's not the morning. We don't have that much time, because at 8:30 they have a cleaning job to do, because classes start at 9:15. In phase 2, we do 2 classes in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, Monday through Thursday. That's 16 classes. Now, Wednesday, we only have 2, so it's really 14 classes a week they go to. So they go from 8 hours a day working 5 days a week to 14 classes a week at 45 minutes per class. It's a lot. I'm keeping them active. I'm keeping them busy. The 26 courses, everything in here from anger management. Don't we all need that class? You only have to get 2 miles from your home and you run into someone who needed that morning on the road. And you already could tell who didn't have anger management. And so also they'll take classes on financial well-being. What is an interest rate? What is a 401k? It's free money. And you're going to say yes to it when you get a full-time job. We talk to them about effective parenting, how to make good decisions for your children, how to not blame them for your every bad decision. We have classes on men's issues, women's issues, the psychology of addiction. In that, I talk to them about the axons and the dendrites firing in the brain, and how alcohol consumption has killed brain cells, making you forget things, and you don't have such a great memory. Well, you're going to memorize about 14 verses in my program, and you're going to write papers on 3 different books of the Bible. So in that time, I'll have residents say, I don't have a memory. I said, that's okay. Here's what God does. He returns what the locust have eaten. So you're going to take this verse that's got 17 words in it, and you're going to memorize the first 5, and you're going to go into your program director's office all excited that you know 5 words. And you know what God's going to do? He's going to help you memorize 5 more. You're going to go back and say, guess what? He's going to say, I know. And that's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely great. So you could still see that God will work in and through your life. Most of my hundreds, about 600 people a year right now getting saved at Dallas Life, most of them get saved in phase 2 when they're in programs. Because phase 1, foreign substances are coming out of their body. They can't stay awake for a Bible study. Why am I going to make them go to Bible study? They can't stay alert for anything because they're on. Why should I expect them to? So I let them take that first month, but they'll be working. Now, if they're heavily medicated, I'm not going to put them in the kitchen with the knives. I'll do something else with them. But we have places for them. Based on whatever they may test positive for, there are certain things they can't do, and that's okay. That's okay. So they'll take classes. They also take classes on godly man, godly woman. They take classes on relationships 101. So they take classes on truth in my innermost parts. They take the prayer of the righteous, New Testament class. So. I tell my residents, you leave my program knowing more scripture than the average church deacon in America. So I don't expect you to leave Dallas Life and go sit in church. I expect you to go fix what's wrong with the church. That's what you have to do. Go make it a better place because you're in it. So that's phase 2. You're in counseling in phase 2, and you get one pass to leave each week. Bed ticket is blue. You do it for 2 months. Then phase 3, bed ticket changes to cocoa brown. Now you're done your classes. You woke up in phase 1. You learned a lot about yourself. You fixed your burnt bridges because you're still in counseling. Your family's welcome to come join you for counseling. We do premarital, marital, sexual dysphoria, post-abortive. We do family therapy counseling, all the different areas where any master's level in counseling at Dallas Seminary could be getting their specialty in, and that's the counseling we offer. So it changes from time to time, but it's wonderful and effective. And then in phase 3, you're going to be looking for part-time work. Part-time work, not full-time work. Why? You used to work full-time and you smoked a drink that are bought on nothing but a dime bag with all of it, so you don't need that right now. Part-time work. We'll train you on how to spend your money. So what we do, in phase 3, I make you fill out 15 job applications every week or you leave. End of story. Everybody's hiring. When you get to phase 3, they're saved and they're clean. Why not expect just a little bit more of them? It's not optional. It's mandatory. You could do 12 of them in the computer lab, but at least 3 of them must be done face-to-face. I give you bus passes to do that. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, go introduce yourself to the bosses. We help you address for success. We give you the thank you notes to send out. We give you the bus passes. We write your resume with you. We'll do all of that to make you look, as we all do, make yourself look better than you really are when you're looking for work. That's what you do. I have some business people that come in and actually help you make your resume look that great so that you stand out. We know that it's favor from God, but we'll work with them to make themselves look great on paper. So in phase 3, they do that. Second, when they're working part-time, they bring their paycheck back, show their program director, and they must save $25 a week. After that, the rest is theirs. When they reach full-time, they have to save $100 every single week. But back to phase 3. In phase 3, you're also going to get a mentor. Big deal around our place is mentoring. I don't put it on the website because it's my highly trained, most necessary volunteers. I want godly men and godly women who've walked with Christ for a long time to do that. I have 30 of them. I need about 42 to make it complete for all my people in phase 3, so we're always recruiting. Usually I get mentors from other mentors. Mentoring is this. You meet twice a month for 90 minutes. Whenever you want, however you want. That means twice a month. So every 2 weeks you're going to meet with someone. So a man's going to come in and come alongside a guy in my program. The first 2 months, which encompass 4 meetings, I ask that they be at Dallas Life. I have mentor rooms downstairs, glass in the door. The mentors have a key. They can meet them in there. It could be everything from, what do you want to talk about? It could be a book of the Bible. It could be a book study. It could be lots of things. And for those who say, Bob, I'd love to do it, but I have no idea how to say anything. I said, no problem. I have a class called Mentoring 101. And you can use it. And so they'll do that. All of phase 3 and phase 4, that's 7 months. So they're meeting at least 14 times, staying in touch afterwards, usually coming, sharing a few things at graduation, oftentimes introducing our resident to what a job looks like, or maybe you want to visit our church. You're not a taxi for that resident. You're a mentor. And I say, if you're really nervous and don't know what to say, just go up to somebody and say, so what's your story? Every one of us has one. Not say, how are you, because we're really not that interested. And not say fine, because you're lying, because you're not fine. Well, we're so used to how are you and fine, we just go about our day lying to each other all the time. But instead, say something like, what's your story? And everyone has one. So to us, it matters. They can get those things out and really address what they're facing. Lastly, phase 4, bed ticket now goes to green. Oh, phase 3, you're now looking for an outside church of your choice. Our chapel, you use the first month and the second 2 months. First 2 phases encompass 3 months. That's 12 weeks. During COVID, I wrote 12 messages on the book of Acts, starting with Matthias taking the place of Judas, all the way up to the Apostle Paul giving his testimony before